In the eyes of the Galactic Empire, humanity was a closed chapter, an extinct self-destructive species erased from the cosmic stage nearly 3,000 years ago. Records described Earth as a volatile, resource-rich world home to creatures brilliant, enough to reach the stars but too fractured to survive among them. During the early expansion wars, human resistance against the rising empire was fierce and unrelenting. The Terran rebellion scorched dozens of colonies, costing the empire dearly in resources and reputation. Rather than risk further destabilization, the empire issued an extermination order. Massive orbital bombardments reduced Earth to a lifeless husk. A few scattered human outposts on moons and asteroids vanished shortly after. The official narrative was clear. Humanity had been eliminated. Scholars wrote cautionary tales of mankind's arrogance, using their story to teach Imperial youth about the dangers of unchecked ambition and tribal division. In time, human became synonymous with failure. But on the outer edge of Imperial territory, far beyond the well-charted sectors, something stirred. The exploration vessel Vraxor's Edge, a long-range science cruiser assigned to chart unclaimed systems, picked up a strange rhythmic signal in the Perseon Drift, a volatile sector avoided for centuries due to its dense radiation storms and gravitational anomalies. The signal was faint, looping, and bore no resemblance to known galactic languages. At first, it was dismissed as background noise, a natural phenomenon twisted by radiation. Yet one junior linguistics officer aboard the ship, Rilvan Kale, noticed a pattern in the pulse intervals. They matched a base 10 timing structure, something common in Terran numerical systems. Captain Tressa Varel, a pragmatic but curious officer with a reputation for chasing cold leads, authorized a deeper scan. What they found shook her command team. Embedded in the signal were modulated frequencies that resembled a form of ancient Terran Morse code. Imperial Command was notified, but the response was dismissive. A ghost in the static, they said. But Varel wasn't ready to let it go. Navigating the radiation storms was a dangerous gamble, but Vraxor's Edge was built for long-haul survival and deep system dives. After days of calculated drift and jump maneuvers, they broke through the chaos and entered a quiet pocket of space. Before them floated a yellow star orbited by 7 celestial bodies, one of which showed clear signs of life. That world, later codenamed Velisara, was covered in vegetation and oceans, orbited by artificial satellites, and most impossibly, laced with transmission beacons, still active, still broadcasting in that same strange pattern. Long-range sensors confirmed it. The world harbored humanoid life. Doubt turned into fear. The crew of Vraxor's Edge were the first to see the impossible with their own eyes. Structures that didn't match any alien architectural style, environmental data matching human tolerances, and linguistic remnants pointing to Terran roots. What should have been a forgotten world lost in time there was thriving. Captain Varel issued a directive: no contact, full stealth, and prepare an away team. If this was truly what it appeared to be, the Empire's greatest mistake was not eliminating humanity. It was underestimating their will to survive. Emerging from the chaos of the Perseon Drift, Vraxor's Edge finally pierced through the radiation-choked boundary that had shielded the system for centuries. What lay beyond defied expectations. A stable solar system with a single golden yellow star and 7 orbiting bodies, the third of which showed unmistakable signs of life. For Captain Tressa Varel and her crew, this was no longer an exploration mission, it was a revelation. The planet, codenamed Velisara, was Earth-like in every measurable way. Breathable atmosphere, liquid oceans, forests, polar caps, and climate zones nearly identical to pre-cataclysmic Terra. Most disturbingly, satellite. Readings confirmed biosignatures, millions of them. What's more, there were clear heat signatures from cities, road networks, energy grids, and active orbital satellites circling the planet like ancient sentinels. The crew was stunned. Lorekeeper Dazek, the ship's imperial historian, had spent decades chronicling extinct species and buried civilizations. But nothing prepared him for this. The data made one thing undeniable. This was no alien world. This was a human world, thriving, self-sufficient, and apparently advanced enough to maintain long-term planetary infrastructure. And yet, there were no known imperial records of such a colony. If Velisara had once been part of humanity's scattered efforts to escape extinction, it had done so completely off the grid. Sensors probed deeper, revealing a mix of technological eras. Velisara's orbital defenses seemed crude: projectile-based kinetic cannons, low-orbit rail arrays, and electromagnetic shields, far behind modern imperial tech. But what they lacked in elegance, they made up for in resilience and redundancy. Ground scans revealed advanced fusion reactors, biomechanical agriculture, and what appeared to be organic computing interfaces, technology theorized in imperial labs but never fully realized. Caution gripped the command bridge. Captain Varel convened her senior officers. The planet had power, infrastructure, and an unknown political structure. They could not afford a misstep. The question was no longer if these were humans. It was, how did they survive? And why had they remained hidden? The answer, perhaps, lay in the system itself. The Perseon Drift's radiation storms, long believed to be a death trap, were in fact the perfect natural barrier. Velisara had been shielded for centuries, unreachable, unscannable, invisible to any passing fleet. Whatever had brought them, here had also protected them, whether by design or by luck. A stealth descent was authorized. The away team was handpicked: science officers, linguists, and security specialists. Their ship, a cloaked corvette named Whisperfall, descended under the cover of a local aurora storm. From low orbit, they observed massive glass towers rising from forest canopies, sprawling solar fields woven into the landscape, and cities nestled into mountain valleys. Not a single piece of infrastructure resembled current galactic standards, but the function was unmistakable. This was civilization. As the corvette drifted silently through the upper atmosphere, it intercepted a signal. Spoken language, clear, deliberate, calm. It was in English. The voice was female, warm but authoritative. To those watching from the stars, you are not unknown. You are expected. Land where the fire meets the river, and come without weapons, or not at all. Shock turned into certainty. Humanity had not just survived, they had endured, and they were waiting. Velisara was no forgotten outpost. It was a legacy, and the Empire had just stepped into its shadow. Whisperfall, the Empire's stealth corvette, glided through the skies of Velisara under the cover of clouds, guided by the voice that had welcomed them from orbit. The team followed the cryptic instructions to land, where the fire meets the river, a volcanic region where glowing magma rivers met cool freshwater flows. There, nestled into a cliffside, stood a city unlike anything recorded in imperial history. Towers grown from crystal and vine, glowing softly with bioluminescent patterns, and walkways suspended over chasms by strands of living metal. Waiting for them at the landing site was a delegation of calm, composed figures dressed in robes interwoven with metallic threads. Their skin tones varied, their features unmistakably human, but their eyes, deep, old, observant, held something more than curiosity. They were not awed by the visitors from the stars. They were prepared. The leader introduced herself as Illyra Voss, a member of the governing body known as the Rememberers. She spoke perfect English, laced with unfamiliar pronunciations but unmistakable in meaning. Her first words stunned the away team. "You are late. We have waited generations for your arrival." The Rememberers were not politicians or warriors. They were caretakers of memory, chosen from birth to preserve humanity's knowledge, culture, and history. They had maintained Earth's legacy through oral storytelling, preserved archives, and advanced memory-sharing technology that allowed new generations to inherit not just facts, but the emotions and decisions of those who came before. Captain Varel opened formal dialogue cautiously. She requested to learn more about Velisara's origins. Illyra agreed and led them into the archive spire, a massive structure that pulsed with organic light. Inside, the team was shown holographic projections, living memories preserved from humanity's final hours on Earth. They saw Earth's skies alight with orbital fire as imperial bombardments reduced cities to ash. They watched as global leaders scrambled to launch arc ships, desperate to seed human life among the stars. One ship, Arc Horizon, had vanished during a solar flare event. It had not perished, as the Empire had assumed, but had been flung into deep space, eventually crash-landing on Velisara. The survivors rebuilt from ruin. They adapted quickly, learning to live in harmony with the planet's alien biosphere. They forged new ways of life, blending science with sustainability. Their technology didn't seek dominance, it was grown, nurtured like the ecosystems around them. But they never forgot what drove them to this place. They remembered Earth, they remembered the war, and they remembered the Empire. When asked why they remained hidden, Elira responded simply, "The galaxy feared us. You erased us. So we watched, and we waited." The away team realized they stood, not among primitives or forgotten colonists, but among a civilization that had matured in exile. These weren't the same humans the Empire had once sought to destroy. They had evolved socially, technologically, philosophically. They were Velisarans now, heirs to a broken past, but no longer defined by it. The meeting ended with a warning. Velisara would welcome dialogue but would not tolerate interference or conquest. They were not seeking to rejoin the galactic stage as subjects, but as equals. Captain Varel, though stunned, felt a dawning respect. Humanity had been presumed extinct. But what the Empire had missed was that extinction is not the end, it is transformation, and Velisara was the proof. As formal diplomatic exchanges began between the Imperial exploration crew and the Velisarans, Captain Tressa Varel found herself wrestling with awe and unease. The humans of Velisara were not remnants. They were inheritors of a forgotten greatness, transformed by time, struggle, and silence. And they remembered everything. The Rememberers granted the Imperial team limited access to the Cradle Vault, a massive subterranean chamber beneath the archive spire. It was here the echoes of Earth were most vividly preserved. The vault was not just a museum, it was a living history, with interactive holorecords, immersive memory tapestries, and AI-curated dream simulations allowing visitors to experience fragments of ancient Earth through the eyes of the last Terrans. Varel walked through a recreation of Times Square the night before orbital bombardments. She stood inside a simulation of an escape pod as it launched from a collapsing orbital station. She watched through a survivor's eyes as the Arc Horizon crash-landed on Velisara after being ripped off course by a massive solar flare. These weren't data logs or sterile archives. These were memories, preserved with emotional fidelity. The crew began to understand the soul of this civilization. Though isolated, the Velisarans had never lost their connection to their past. Children learned about Earth's art, languages, and extinct animals. Elders carried genetic memory maps of their ancestors, and despite the Empire's centuries of propaganda painting humans as savage and volatile, these people had built something graceful, resilient, and profoundly aware of their heritage. Yet the most shocking revelation came when Elira Voss showed Captain Varel a sealed chamber known only as the Testament. Inside was a library of classified Imperial transmissions, intercepted over centuries. The Velisarans had been listening, watching, studying. They had monitored galactic conflicts, diplomatic shifts, and even movements of Imperial fleets. They knew the Empire believed them extinct. They had let that belief persist for their own safety. But now that contact had been made, that illusion could no longer hold. Within the Testament, Varel discovered something else. A final message, recorded by Captain Elian Days, the commander of the Arc Horizon moments before their crash. His voice was ragged but clear. "If you are hearing this, we are not dead. We are not broken. We are the future carved from ruin. Let them come. Let them see. And let them remember what it means to be human." Varel was shaken. This was not the voice of a desperate man. This was defiance preserved in crystal. As diplomatic discussions progressed, Velasaran culture began to reveal itself in small, unexpected ways. They held nightly remembrance circles, where song, story, and shared dream visions honored the dead. Their laws prioritized balance with the environment over conquest or wealth. There were no formal armies, only peacebinders trained in ancient Terran martial arts and conflict mediation. But Varel noticed something unspoken in every encounter: preparation. The Velisarans were not naive. They had rebuilt not just to survive, but to endure a future in which they might face their destroyers again. And now, with Imperial boots on their soil, that future was here. The echoes of Earth rang louder with each passing day. And for the first time, Varel felt a dangerous shift. This world might be more than a curiosity. It might be a threat, not because it was hostile, but because it was undeniably, defiantly human. Back aboard the Vraxer's Edge, Captain Tressa Varel and her crew wrestled with the magnitude of their discovery. The lost human civilization on Velisara wasn't just surviving. It was thriving, self-sufficient, and culturally rich. This revelation sent ripples through Imperial command. The implications were staggering, and the Empire faced a dilemma it had never anticipated. For centuries, the Galactic Empire had propagated the narrative that humanity was extinct, a dangerous, warlike species eradicated to bring peace to the galaxy. Now, with undeniable proof that humans not only survived, but evolved in secret, that foundational truth was shattered. Political leaders, military strategists, and scholars debated fiercely over the consequences. The Empire's first instinct was to assert control. Some factions within the Imperial High Command urged swift military occupation, securing Velisara before the humans could further develop their technology or form alliances with other species. They feared that allowing a human civilization to exist unchecked might inspire rebellion across Imperial space or revive dangerous Terran ideologies. Others, however, counseled caution. The Velisarans had demonstrated advanced defensive systems and an unyielding will to protect their sovereignty. Open conflict risked a costly war, and intelligence reports warned that Velisara's unique environment and natural defenses would make a traditional assault difficult. Furthermore, many senior diplomats argued for negotiation, seeing an opportunity for alliance or integration rather than destruction. Amidst the political turmoil, Captain Varel was summoned to Imperial headquarters for a high-stakes council. She presented detailed reports, emphasizing the humanity and complexity of the Velisaran society. She argued that diplomacy should be prioritized, stressing the potential benefits of peace, a chance to learn from Velisara's sustainable technologies, and to mend centuries-old wounds. But the council was divided. Behind closed doors, whispers spread about the threat humanity might pose, fear of a human resurgence that could destabilize the Empire's carefully maintained order. Some generals openly speculated about biological warfare and the resurrection of Terran savagery, while Imperial scientists debated the ethics of studying Velisaran genetics and technology for potential exploitation. Meanwhile, the Velisarans remained vigilant. They communicated through the Rememberers that they sought respect, not subjugation. Elira Voss and her council insisted on equal status in any talks, refusing to be treated as relics or subjects. Their message was clear. Humanity had been cast out, but they were no longer victims. They were a sovereign civilization, prepared to defend their home. The Empire's dilemma was not just strategic but moral. Was humanity an extinct threat to be wiped away, or a forgotten kin to be embraced? Could the Empire reconcile its dark past with this new reality? And most pressingly, what did the future hold if they failed? On Velisara, preparations for potential conflict quietly intensified. The peacebinders trained with renewed rigor, and citizens fortified their cities without disrupting their daily lives. Yet beneath the calm, a growing resolve simmered. Humanity would not vanish again. Captain Varel, caught between two worlds, pondered her role. Could she help bridge centuries of fear and mistrust? Or was the Empire doomed to repeat the mistakes that nearly destroyed an entire species? The answer would come soon enough, because the galaxy was watching. and history was about to be rewritten. Tensions between the Galactic Empire and Velisera reached a breaking point. Diplomatic negotiations, though conducted with care and respect, revealed deep-rooted mistrust on both sides. The Empire, burdened by centuries of fear and propaganda, struggled to see the Velisarans as anything other than a threat to its dominance. Meanwhile, Velisara, scarred by past betrayals and near annihilation, refused to accept anything less than full recognition of their sovereignty and rights. Captain Tressa Varel found herself at the epicenter of this historic conflict. Despite her hopes for peaceful resolution, she understood that Velisara would never bow to imperial demands for control or submission. Their unique society, forged through hardship and resilience, had created a people fiercely protective of their independence. The Empire's military, divided but vigilant, prepared a show of force to assert its authority, an orbiting fleet positioned near Velisara's atmosphere, and warships standing by to intervene if necessary. Yet the Velisarans did not respond with fear or panic. Rather, they activated long-dormant planetary defenses, ancient yet effective systems designed during their early years on the planet. Energy shields shimmered across major cities, and automated defense drones took to the skies ready to defend their home. In the midst of rising tensions, Captain Varel made a bold decision. She requested an unsanctioned meeting with Elira Voss and the Rememberers, hoping to find a path beyond conflict. During their clandestine encounter, they shared stories, not just of war and loss, but of hope, renewal, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. Elira revealed that Velisara's survival was not merely an act of isolation, but a testament to humanity's capacity to adapt and endure. Together, they devised a plan, a public demonstration of Velisaran culture and technology that would showcase their strength, wisdom, and peaceful intentions. They hoped this display might sway public opinion within the Empire and among other galactic powers, forcing a reconsideration of Velisara's place in the universe. The demonstration was breathtaking. Velisaran artists and engineers created spectacular, holographic displays of their history and achievements, while peacebinders demonstrated their martial skills with grace and discipline. Scientists shared breakthroughs in sustainable energy and organic computing interfaces, technology that promised benefits far beyond Velisara's borders. News of the event spread across imperial networks, stirring debate and shifting perceptions. Some imperial citizens began to question long-held prejudices, recognizing that humanity's story was not one of extinction, but of evolution. Others, however, remained skeptical, wary of potential hidden agendas. In the final moments, the Empire's High Council convened to decide Velisara's fate. Captain Varel advocated fiercely for a new approach, one of respect, cooperation, and acknowledgement of past mistakes. The Rememberers pledged to share knowledge and culture, opening a bridge between Velisara and the galaxy. The Council's decision was historic. Velisara would be recognized as an autonomous human civilization, with diplomatic ties to the Empire but free to govern itself. A treaty was signed, marking the end of centuries of silence and denial. The dawn of this new era was not without challenges. Old fears lingered, and mistrust remained a fragile undercurrent. But humanity's rebirth on Velisara offered a powerful symbol, proof that extinction was not the final chapter. It was a beginning. Captain Varel looked to the stars, knowing that the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity was alive, thriving, and ready to reclaim its place, not as a threat, but as a beacon of resilience and hope.